Mention 2000 trails camping. Check it out if you like camping. No. Yeah, this is me, Brother Bob. And today we're going to talk about it's the Civil War all over again. See, most people think they get it. And then some people realize that they get the big picture. And then there's the next step up that think they get the bigger picture. Man, yeah, I get that, but it's just other things like the Civil War. I mean, really, some people say the Civil War is about slavery, which it isn't. I mean, and the thing is, slavery was bad, guaranteed, but it wasn't prevalent. And it might have been more the taskmasters rather than slave owners. But this is the Bible Belt, folks, serious Christianity, and it says in the Bible, treat your slaves like people, not like livestock. Okay, and yes, you can change that with employees, and it still means the same thing. Treat your employees like people, not numbers. They still work. Jesus is forever. However, these Christians, they don't go around beating their slaves. They treat them like people. So they had hand-me-downs, yes. Look at George Washington. He's got this big old plantation. He goes to the house there and says, okay, I'm going to be going to D.C. for a few months. Who wants to come along with me? 6 months, you'll be able to have your freedom. And, I'm sure we got lots of people out there in the field that will gladly take your place. So who wants to go with me? And, let me go. And then they get there and they, okay, this is cool, I'm doing my job, I get a day off. I'm going to go into the city and, establish friendships, see what neighborhood I want to move into and what life is going to be like once I get my freedom. Well, guess what? Once they see how the free blacks are living in D.C., they subclass the human no different than slaves, doing the crappy jobs that no one else wants to do. Well, it's like, I got it made, man, I'm living in a house. It may be a hand-me-down house, but it's still a nice house with nice hand-me-down furniture. And yeah, maybe getting table scraps in the big house, but man, they eat filet of yarn and lobster and, all these other great dishes that can make the rest of they're not garbage. I eat good, I live good, and I'm going to get that all up. I'm keeping the job I got, and that's why they go back, not because Washington wouldn't free them. It's because being free kind of sucks. I said, hey, this is a Christian-ass job. I'm not going to, be a Christian. You treat me like a human being. I have these people that are free and not being treated like human beings. Same thing can be said for Jefferson, too. He was so serious in the Jesus, he wrote his own version of the Bible, which was basically just the stuff Jesus said, what other people said about Jesus. Nope, that didn't matter. It's what Jesus said. And that was, treat your slaves like people, not livestock. So, he was cool. The Civil War wasn't about slavery. Okay, so the Civil War wasn't about slavery. People who saw the big picture say, well, no, it's state rights. The Missouri Compromise gave the states the right to decide whether or not they had slaves. And now the federal government wants to come in and tell us we can't. Well, no, it's not the federal government. The bigger picture is that it's the Republicans. The anti-slavers went and formed their own party. They even got their guy elected. So we'll beat them. We won't recognize that party and we'll take his name off the ballot. That's an old story I've heard before, right? It's a new story. It reminded me of an old story. I forget which one it was, but it happens all the time because I see the bigger picture. All right? I'm up there with Lincoln. It's not about the states' rights. It's about, it is about the states' rights, but not that you can, have slaves and not that. You can't go up and form your own country, man. Lincoln was fighting a war about something. You can't do that, South. You have to stay this country. That's what the bigger picture was about the Civil War. But I see the bigger picture, that all these other big pictures are just a part of, all right? And the Civil War was about the Beatles. Okay, a little bit before their time, but still, the Beatles were the best way I can think of to explain exactly what was going on in the South. So the Beatles were on top. And they knew that the only reason they were on top was because of all the people beneath them. I mean, yeah, the record companies used to be on top. They had to produce the first album, but after a while, the record companies answered to the Beatles. Oh, you want that 8-track? No problem, here it is. And it's like, didn't care. So the Beatles knew that the people underneath them is what made them famous in the first place. The record companies that produced the albums in the first place, the guys working in the factories and making the vinyls, the people working in the stores selling the records, and the teenagers saving up their money so they can buy a Beatle record. Yeah. Only because of them were they famous and on the top, and they knew it. All right, and that's what's going on in the South. The Republicans are saying, hey, you plantation owners, you're living the life of the Beatles. You got everything you want, and people to give it to you. People down on the bottom that propped you up in the first time, you're treating them like shit. Don't you read the Bible? You want to put a stop to it. And, well, the South, I don't care what reason they use, the plantation owners go, no, we're not giving up the life of leisure here. Screw you. And, you know, and that's what the Civil War was about, really. People on the top didn't want to give up living the life of leisure off the backs of the people underneath them. Anyways, that's what's happening now. The Republicans are saying, hey, okay, no, wait a second. Well, it's happening now. You have to fill in the middle 8 here, so it's this Beatles song. Okay, so I go outside and I have birds over here and birds over there and birds over there and all different types of birds, and I got frogs over behind me by the stream, and I wanted to set up in my campsite with a surround sound setup and record all these sounds around me. However, my recording technique didn't work, and the only thing I had to work with was the audio track from the camera, which I could, So I had to use filters, and to get what I'm using here, Final Cut Pro has a lot of good filters, and I was able to get rid of it. If you're working in a tin building and you can't record because of the rain, no, you've got a filter. Driving down the highway with a bad muffler, you've got filters, dialogue enhancement. And to show you what I started with, you want to go check out the deleted scene, because that's all the crap I've got to work with. Bet you all know what I started out with. And realize that you probably have filters for the audio tracks in your movie editing program, because I do. All right, done. Okay, lost my train of thought. I have to reconnect here. We'll edit this out. Yeah, just because you said that, I'm going to put something in. Focus, guys, focus. That's what the smoke is all about. Let's see. Yeah, see, I got it. Anyways, we're back to our story here. And we're going to put in a middle 8. Like we use the Beatles quote. Hey, there's a middle 8. It's called inflation and recession. The great roller coaster ride. Can't have the ups without the downs. Well, you can't have the downs without the ups. But still, it has to have a whole bunch of ups and downs so we can get back up there. Yeah, you have inflation, and the only thing that's going to stop the inflation is the recession. And if you don't stop the inflation, eventually, instead of getting a recession, you get a depression. And when this happens, people look to the government to solve the problem. And one solution that you may have heard about is work projects. Hey, we got all these people on the unemployment lines, we're not giving jobs, building dams and bridges and roads and highways, and it worked for many years. However, before the Department of Education was invoked, it was a good idea to get a good education, get a college degree, and get yourself a decent job on Wall Street or Madison Ave or one of the big places that need brainiacs. You got smarter kids, let's make them run the country. Great. And it turned out, a period of my life, that it's like, why bother going to college? You get yourself this degree, and you get yourself a degree, and you end up working at McDonald's, flipping hamburgers, because nobody is hiring executives. What do? You look to the government for a solution to the problem. And they create government agencies. Overlooking this and overlooking that. We need brainiacs and college degrees, and all these people get to work. We've got the #1 education system in the world. So what do? We, give people a job with the Department of Education to oversee it, and now we're 36. Yeah, see, it's like getting the unemployment work. And it's been morphed into something where you don't even have to show up, man. Just, cash a paycheck each week. We know you're alive. We need you. We'll call you in. We got thousands of them. And it's the Civil War all over again. Instead of being plantation owners, they're politicians and people who work for the government. Yes, you don't want the Department of Education to go away because all these people are going to be unemployed. Yeah. Instead of the tax and spend that the Democrats do to solve our problems. We have the problem of inflation, and this tariff thing is instead of taxing the people, we tax the imports. Yes, it's gonna get trickled down to the people, but hey, folks, that's the way it works. The people on the top, Beagles are politicians and plantation owners. It don't matter. It's the people on the bottom supporting them. Okay? And you gotta stop inflation. Inflation never goes away. All right. This thing with Elon Musk,
Okay.
in my mind, the way I look at things, civil war all over again. We didn't learn. And it's still the Republicans causing the trouble. If it wasn't for the Republicans in the first place, there would have been no civil war.
Okay. I never thought about it that way.
Yep. That's the whole thing about my channel. I think of things nobody else does, so.